Used to believe my life was as perfect as it could get. I had a loving boyfriend, Liam, the kind of man every girl dreams about. Thoughtful, ambitious, and always there with a soft word or an inside joke to brighten my day. We met in college, stayed together through life's early chaos, and somehow built a relationship that felt untouchable, the kind you believe will lead to marriage without question. Alongside him, I had Eva, my twin sister, my other half in every sense except biology. Our bond was something I wore like armor. Through every breakup, job loss, or emotional spiral, Eva had been my anchor. And Liam? He was the calm to my storms. But lately, something felt different, as if the universe had gone slightly off balance without telling me. Liam's texts became shorter. His calls, once the highlight of my evenings, started sounding forced, like he had one eye on the clock and the other somewhere else. Plans would fall through last minute with excuses that sounded too polished, too prepared. I tried brushing it off, thinking work was overwhelming him, or maybe he was just going through something personal he didn't want to share yet. I leaned on Eva for support. She always knew the right words to ease my doubts, always listened without judgment, but even she seemed different lately. Her voice lacked its usual warmth, as though every word had been carefully measured before reaching me. When I pointed it out, she blamed stress, and I accepted it because denial was easier than facing an unspoken truth. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. Liam still kissed me goodbye every morning and Eva still checked in on me, asking if I'd eaten or how my day had been. On the surface, everything was normal, but deep inside, I felt this slow-building ache that wouldn't leave, the kind that whispers you're about to lose something before you even know what it is. One night, while waiting for Liam to come home, I scrolled through our old photos. Birthdays, weekend trips, simple cozy nights in. His smile in those pictures used to make my heart flutter. Now it just made me wonder when exactly the light had faded from his eyes. I put my phone away and sat in silence, counting the seconds as the clock ticked. When the door finally opened, he walked in like a stranger I used to know. That night, I lay awake realizing that sometimes the scariest part of a relationship ending isn't the goodbye. It's knowing that the person you loved left long before you noticed. The version of Liam I fell for was gone, and the void between us was growing, even if neither of us had said it out loud yet. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, no matter how much I wanted to believe otherwise. The distance between Liam and me kept growing, and Eva's presence, which once felt like a safe place, had started feeling strange too. Her words lacked the ease they once had, her laughter felt rehearsed, and her eyes never met mine for too long. I thought maybe I was imagining it, so I pushed the suspicion aside and buried myself in work, hoping distraction would fix what conversations couldn't. But curiosity has a way of creeping back when silence grows too loud. One evening, Liam left his laptop open on the dining table. I wasn't searching for anything, but a single notification popped up, a name that froze me. Eva. My own sister. The preview wasn't much, just a half sentence, but it felt far too personal to be casual. My stomach sank, but I clicked anyway, unable to stop myself. The thread stretched back months. Sweet messages, subtle flirting, inside jokes I'd never heard, plans they had made without me. There was no way to misread it. Every line was another pin to the heart, and by the time I reached the most recent ones, the pain had gone from sharp to numb. I closed the laptop without thinking, staring at the blank screen like it would undo what I'd just seen. I wanted to be angry, to feel something other than this dull, hollow ache, but the only thing I could manage was silence. When Liam walked through the door later, I looked at him, waiting for his face to give away some sign of guilt, but he acted as if everything was normal. I couldn't decide which part hurt more, the betrayal itself or the way he could lie so easily. I met Eva the next day, hoping I was wrong, that there was some explanation I hadn't thought of. She avoided my eyes, her voice trembling even when she tried to sound casual. I didn't even need to ask. The truth sat between us, thick and suffocating. Her apology didn't come with words, only tears. She didn't deny it. She didn't defend herself. That silence was the only confirmation I needed. I walked away from that conversation carrying a new kind of heartbreak, The kind that doesn't come from a failed relationship, but from losing the two people you thought would never turn on you. Love isn't always loud when it leaves. Sometimes it disappears in whispers, in missed calls, in messages not meant for your eyes. Sometimes betrayal comes from the ones who swore they never could. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even ask why. The answers wouldn't have changed anything. Betrayal doesn't come with logic. It arrives fully formed, whether you're ready or not. Days passed in a blur, and neither of them reached out first. When they finally did, I let them speak. Liam started with excuses dressed as confessions, saying he didn't mean for it to happen, that he was lonely, confused, and somehow Eva had filled a gap I hadn't noticed. He talked about how being around her reminded him of me, as if that was some kind of explanation for crossing a line that never should have been touched. Eva's words were different but no less painful. She said it wasn't planned, that it had started small, harmless, even innocent. Long talks when I wasn't around, jokes that spiraled into shared secrets, and then moments neither of them could take back. She wasn't proud, and the shame on her face told me that much. But shame didn't erase what had already been done. She kept saying she missed me, that losing me hurt more than anything else, but her actions spoke louder than the apology she couldn't find the courage to say out loud. The space between us wasn't just emotional anymore. It became physical. I stopped replying to their texts, stopped picking up calls, stopped trying to piece together a version of the past that would never feel safe again. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want closure. I wanted peace. And peace couldn't exist in the same room with either of them. The days were quiet but heavy, filled with long walks, empty nights, and too many unfinished thoughts. Forgiveness wasn't on the table, not yet. But I also knew anger wouldn't heal me. I spent years defining myself through the people I loved, and in one careless decision, both of them reminded me why self-worth should never depend on anyone else. I wasn't innocent either, not in the way of betrayal, but in the way of trusting too easily, believing too deeply, and thinking that loyalty guaranteed safety. Didn't. I learned that heartbreak isn't always about romance. Sometimes it's about the people you share your history with, the ones who are supposed to know you best and still choose to hurt you anyway. Liam and Eva had each other now, but I had something more valuable. Clarity. And that, for the first time in weeks, felt like freedom. Time passed, and the silence between us settled into something permanent. I didn't rush to fill the space they left behind because some wounds needed air, not bandages. I thought about the weight of what had happened, about the trust that shattered without a single warning, and I realized holding on to that pain only gave it more power than it deserved. I had lost two people, but somewhere in the quiet, I started finding myself again. One morning, Eva reached out, not with another apology, but with something unexpected: honesty. She sent a letter, simple and raw, admitting every flaw, every selfish choice, every moment she could have walked away but didn't. There were no excuses this time, only the kind of truth that strips a person down to their barest self. She wasn't asking to be forgiven. She was asking to be heard. I sat with her words for days. I thought about the bond we had before all of this, the childhood memories, the inside jokes, the nights spent dreaming about the future. I thought about how easy it would have been to erase her from my life and how much harder it was to accept that mistakes, even the most painful ones, don't erase love, they just change it. When we finally spoke again, it wasn't about Liam or betrayal or blame. It was about the lives we'd lived before this fracture and the choice to rebuild something new, something honest, even if it would never look the same as before. Letting go of anger wasn't about them deserving it. It was about me deserving peace. As for Liam, he became a closed chapter. Some people aren't meant to be part of your story forever, and his role in mine had ended the moment he chose someone else. I didn't need closure from him. I didn't need to understand his reasons. I only needed to know that I was finally done holding space for someone who couldn't see my worth. The real twist wasn't the betrayal, or even the heartbreak. It was the unexpected strength that came after. I didn't lose everything. I lost the illusion of what I thought I had. What I gained was something deeper. The understanding that forgiveness isn't weakness, and love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go. I did it for myself, for the version of me that deserved more than quiet disappointment and hollow apologies. I did it with my twin, not to forget, but to remind myself that healing starts when you choose peace over pride. And that was the ending I never knew I needed.